Hey guys, welcome back to Pavelato, and welcome back to Café Enchanté. We are here with Solitus, who's very depressed because Il just beat the shit out of him and just left him there, even after he was like, please don't go. So let's get right into it.
正しく落ちろだと。信託も持ち得ぬ私にはもはや何一つわからない。お前は私にどうしろというのだ。
Well, I expected him to cry, but he didn't, so I'm disappointed. Back to Kotone. After settling things with Solitus, Il dispels the barrier and picks me up again. Then we fly towards the summit. Il, is Solitus...
彼ならばきっと大丈夫。私の相棒だった男ですから。それよりも急ぎましょう。戦いが予定よりも長引きました。霊力炉の稼働時刻が迫っています。
From there, nobody got in our way. Like a shooting star, Il continues soaring straight up to the seat of God. We finally reach the summit and land before God's eyes, but... the beautiful light floating in the sky feels abnormally cold. In the sky above is a giant wormhole. It's right up close. Matching the sounds from the pipe organ, a spirit furnace begins to glimmer divinely, as though seeking an offering for salvation. The wormhole's open! Don't tell me it's already...
いいえ、まだ間に合います。霊力炉が完全起動する前に。
ほう、どう間に合わせるというのだ。
At the summit, blessed by the light of the spirit furnace, the pipe organ bathed in that light, God asks Il a question. It's so funny that it's a pipe organ. I'm sorry, I'm gonna bring it up every time. Ugh. However, Il doesn't lose his composure and faces the opponent he intends to overthrow.
神よ、最後の忠告です。どうか考え直してはいただけませんか。あなたが掲げる救済は、かつてあなたが不要だと切り捨てた人間と同じ。いいえ、それ以上の傲慢な罪です。
ならぬ。このままではカエル部の安寧が普遍が崩壊するがゆえに。
そうですか。ならば私が取る行動はただ一つ。
After God's unwavering intentions, this time Il shows clear hostility.
普遍と安寧を否定はしません。誰にでも失いたくないものや永遠に残したいものは存在するでしょう。ですが、だからといって前に進みたいと思うものを切り捨てることを認めることはできない。故にあなたを撃つ。これが私の最後の断罪だ。
ほう、私の前では指先一つ動かせぬお前に何ができると。
Like last time, God plays the tune to make Il submit. However,
何？
due to Il's judgment program, it's instantly neutralized.
個体番号オールゼロの生体コードスキャン解析を開始。断罪プログラムだと。あの小賢しい男の異物か。
God appears to recognize the existence of the virtuous scientist and shows a tone of unrest for the first time. Even that God has lost composure. The God that had always had a cold voice and treated Il as nothing more than a puppet. To him, the judgment program must just be that threatening. We can do it. At this rate, we can win. When I start to feel confident.
理解した。確かにそのプログラムを有するお前は私を破壊できる唯一の天使なのだろう。 しかしお前にはできまいよ。あれだけ無様に人形に戻りたくないとわめいていたお前にはな。
A sneering answer is returned, which crushes that hope. What? Return to being a puppet? What does that mean? When I ask, trying to know more, Eel keeps his eyes averted and doesn't answer at all. The one to answer was the enemy we intended to defeat now.
理解していなかったか、人間。断罪プログラムとは私を自戒させるためのもの。
I know that much. That's why he said he needs to temporarily merge his consciousness with yours.
意識の同一化というのは神へ自戒を作用させるための一時的なものですから。もともと肉体も分離していますし、私に何ら影響はありませんよ。
But Eel himself said it would be fine.
その認識の誤りを指摘する。一時的では不十分だ。求められるのは完全なる同一化。さらに言えば、同一化の真の条件は意識だけではなく、断罪の使徒の存在そのもの、すなわち入れ物たる肉体以外の感情、意志、その存在たる魂を代償に行われる。
I let out a hoarse breath at what that means, the true meaning.
理解したか、人間。事実上一心となった私を破壊すれば、断罪の使徒はその魂ごと砕け散り、生命としても機能しない。正真正銘の壊れた人形と化す。
In mere moments, my hope is completely repainted into despair. Ew? This is a lie, right? What God is saying? Everything. After all, back at that time, you said you would be okay. I immediately seek an answer from him, but
ことね、嘘をついてごめんなさい。
the words he offered me were no comfort, no lie, but simply straightforward, as if that were the only way. They were words of despair. Then, if he destroys God, Eel will... Why? You finally regained your emotions. You were finally supposed to be free.
ですが、このままでは霊力炉が稼働し、何もかもが終わってしまうのです。あなたの世界が、あなたのアンシャンテが、そして私が帰るべきアンシャンテが。
He says it's the place for him to go home to. But that won't be possible. Eel simply gazes up at God in silence.
揺るがぬか。だが同一化し、断罪プログラムを起動させたとして、私の破壊に用いる力をどう得るつもりだ。そのプログラムにて行えるのは、あくまで私の破壊権限を得る。つまり、攻撃を通すことが可能となるだけ。だとして、私を破壊するには、圧倒的に霊力が足らぬであろう。当然、逆賊に霊力炉を使用する権限などあるはずもない。
そんなことは承知の上です。しかし、神よ、やはりあなたは傲慢だ。かつてあなたを生み出した強欲な権力者たちと同じように。どうして今まで自分の体同然に利用してきた霊力炉の中身を把握していなかったのか。
Huh?
何？
Eel quietly speaks in an admonishing way.
この塔の研究室に保管されるサーバーミカエル。
Oh yeah, I forgot about the server.
生き死ににかかわらず、この世すべての天使の記録、いいえ、記憶を保管する膨大な精神領域。
おめでとう。
それに触れたとき、私はとある事実を知りました。我ら天使は元をたどれば祖は人間、故に魂があり、だからこそ感情が芽生え堕天する。死して体を失い霊力炉に返されたとしても、その事実は変わらない。つまりあなたと私が今まで奪ってきた天使の命が、魂があの霊力炉の中には残っている。確かにあなたは霊力炉の機能すべてを掌握しているのでしょうが、まさかそこに宿る幾千幾万の魂を操る術までは有していないでしょう。
Oh shit.
彼らが自発的に私へ霊力を供給してくれるならば、私はあなたを破壊できる。
魂が霊力炉に残る。バカな、そんなことが。
神よ、再三望まれていた通り、この身をあなたに返しましょう。ただし私が下す最後の断罪とともに。
Yo, I love the music. When Eel shouts loudly, light much like fireworks erupts from his body. The merger with God. As though displaying its beginning, the wings on his back turn to pure white. This overly beautiful spectacle is hope for the world and despair for me. I'm sure he won't stop now. There's no way he can stop. After all, Eel found the determination and came all the way here. That's why all I can do is cling to his body in a pathetic way. You said that there are a lot of things that you want to do with me. That you want to do more chores. That you want to visit my hometown. Me too. The future with you. I wanted to be with you more. My feelings overflow, and I can't hide them from him. His voice chokes up slightly, but that hesitation turns to a smile.
ことね。できるなら私もあなたと光ある未来を歩みたかった。やっと得た心を手放したくない。壊れた人形になどなりたくない。あなたと共にもっともっといろんな感情を学んで生きたかった。ですがその生きる場所が、私たちの大切な思い出の世界がこのままでは失われるのです。だからどうかこれ以上は引き止めないで、最後ぐらいは男らしく格好をつけて、あなたにこの姿を記憶に焼き付けてもらいたいのです。
With a gentle voice, Eel steps further ahead. Then, as though shaking off all lingering attachments, he takes a big breath and raises his head.
炉の内に返された同胞たちよ、私の罪たちよ、今すぐその瞳を開け。
With emotion, offering up his soul to God, he shouts loudly.
断罪者たる私が権限を持ってその眠りを破壊する。そして神の一部として許可する。思考せよ。何が正しく何が間違っているのか、神に味方するもよし、私に味方するもよし、ミカエルのうちにて私の心に触れ、その胸に説明できない何かが生まれたのならば、強制はしない。その感情に従い行動せよ。
やめろ。
God's control doesn't make it in time. The spirit furnace floating in the sky temporarily stops its absorption actions. Oh shit. It begins to pulsate. From there, without God's command, countless bits of light fall like snow. Each one has a will, a soul.
皇帝断罪の天使よ、その発言の意味を完全に理解することはできないが、その叫びとともにこの胸に宿った温度に準じ、あなたへの加勢を選択する。
Some ally themselves with Eel.
冗談じゃない。僕を顔色一つ変えずに殺したお前に手なんて貸せるものかよ。
Some give themselves to God. As more and more light falls into Eel's body.
ならば霊力が満ちる前に貴様を破壊すればよいだけのこと。
Without waiting for the angels to finish, God decides to eliminate Eel. Just like when he was being controlled, giant circles of light stack onto each other and collect the falling light.
大規模破壊術式第2位ケルビムを発動。
Due to the merger and focusing on absorbing spirit energy, Eel can't counterattack or defend himself. After a span of only seconds, the arrogant light of God's wrath faces us.
照準固定。私自らこの愚かなる人形もどきに断罪を。
As though interrupting that.
させるものか。
Like saying he won't let his friend die. A life in sacrifice, an angel full of song. The spear of the oracle is lunged into the air. The desperate throw crashes into God's strike. With the recoil, the intruder from the tower, Solitus, is blown away, but disregards this and shouts.
今こそ断罪を神殺しを成し遂げよ我が友イルファドデリエ。
Oh! As though responding to his shout. Gently, the last grain. No, 2 grains of red and blue spirit energy fall into Eel's body.
行け友よ。
私たちの魂でよければいくらでもあなたの背中を押すわ。
Taking them onto his palms as though embracing them, Eel takes them into his body, then...
やめろ。私はまだこの安寧を普遍を。
Honestly, it's kind of comical that God's just like, no, stop it, please.
権力を手放すつもりなど。
God's decree finally reveals his true nature. Ignoring the begging, Eel declares,
霊力の吸収を完了。破壊術式第1位セラフィムを私の専用術式として再構築する。
Hold the power sufficient to destroy the sun? Light gathers. To end everything, light to take the person I cherish away. Oh, picture get. A shining bow and arrow. It appears into Eel's hands, and he draws it aimed at God's center. The merger with God progresses, as motion vanishes from his eyes. Overflowing light gathers into the arrow's tip. I'm sure when it all gathers there, the approaching end will be. No matter what reasons I'm told, there's no way I can accept it. Do I want to cling to him, or do I want to support him? Even I don't know. All I do is desperately embrace his body. But Eel is losing the ability to even understand the meaning of my trembling.
怖いですね。自分から感情を手放すということは。体はここにあるのに、まるで自分が砂のように崩れ落ちていく気分。
But yet he continues despite the noise in his voice.
逆に考えれば失うことを惜しいと 恐ろしいと思えるほどに大切なものが私のうちに生まれたということ。それは間違いなくあなたとあなたのいるアンシャンテで、だからそれを無駄に無にはさせない。
His heart, his emotions, that he finally reclaimed, are disappearing. He's turning empty.
ああ、そろそろですかね。怖いとは何だったか、辛いとは何だったか、もうそれさえ思い出せない。
This is awful. I'm in so much pain. Well, all I can do is grieve at the unfair fate before my eyes.
ことね、私は笑えていますか？
A somewhat gentle voice drops. Huh? When I look up, Eel is desperately using his broken emotions to give me a smile.
私はあなたが好きだと言ってくれた笑顔で晴れていますか？
No, that's so unfair. I can't say that.
最後の瞬間までそのままで。
Strength leaves Eel's sneeze, but I quickly support him. This is no good. No matter how he arranges his words, his will is unchanged. And I came to like that honest and straightforward Eel. I can't deny that. In that case, at least, it's okay, Eel. Your smile is really beautiful. With a pathetically shaking voice that even I want to laugh at, I answer. Then I shut my eyelids tight to force the tears blurring my sight to fall out, to burn his smiling face into my eyes.
ありがとう。
Drops flow from Eel's eyes as well.
あ、やはり感情とは不思議だ。悲しみ以外の理由で涙を流せるものなのか。そうか。壊れる前にやっと分かった。この涙とあなたとの記憶とともに言葉にならない最後に残ったこの感情こそがきっと。
Already, he probably lost self-awareness. But Eel's voice desperately stringing words together are brimming with happiness.
ことね、あの約束を今私ですね。最後にあなたへ
No!
伝えたい言葉が。
Promise? Right. No, he's not gonna say it now, is he? Eel finally reached it. What he promised to declare back then. The signal of our parting, that emotion. But I was the one who made him promise, wanting to teach him. So I won't say anything selfish anymore and accept his words straight on. Okay, I said I would wait after all. Tell me, Eel, with that smile and voice I like so much. Eel makes a small nod at my words, narrows his eyes with fading light.
この世界に生まれ落ちてあなたに出会えてよかった。愛してる。
No, this is the worst. That was his last song. Oh, god damn it. His fingers fall limp with no strength. The bow of judgment is released. The grand body of God shatters into shards of metal, and at that time, all of heavenly world Kyle is engulfed in a gentle light. No. No, how can they end it like this? I'm having such a bad time. I'm so sad. There's no way that they're gonna be like, oh, well, he's just dead forever, right? That would be so fucked. Oh, I'm crying. Oh my god. I knew this was gonna wreck me, because they were like, oh yeah, like, he's like gonna... It made it sound like he was gonna die. If he honestly died, I think I would be completely wrecked. I would be sobbing my eyes out. I'm just crying right now. I'm so sad. They really did a good job with the very ends of that. Because I think with Eel, like, I really liked his personality once he like gained a sense of himself versus the one where he was like pretending to be someone else. And they did a good job of making you like long to like be with him and stuff like that, because now he like actually understands things and he like has common sense. Regardless, I'm so fucking upset because like I hate how like, well, I like it, but I say I hate it because it hurts. How they had like the last date and he was just like, you know, I like want to tell you something, but I can't tell you right now. I'll tell you later. And like you don't know, well, Kotone doesn't know like what's going on and why he's saying that. And then just to bring it back up at the very end, I'm so wrecked. I'm so wrecked, dude. I like want to throw up. I'm so sad. Like, oh god. If Eel doesn't come back, I swear to God, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry again. Oh, this isn't even Kotone. I want to see. Ew. To my cherished Kotone, if you are reading this letter, then everything must have ended as we hoped. Please forgive me for explaining everything to you much after the fact. However, I simply couldn't bear to reveal what would happen to me to you beforehand. If I did, in the end, I wouldn't want to leave your side, and I would betray my determination to oppose perpetuity. There we go. After slaying God, I will likely enter a state of near death, barely something that can be called alive. However, if by chance, if of my shattered soul, by some miracle, even the smallest fragment remains, Kotone, at that time, once more. So they like birthed him again? That sounds disgusting. I should not have said that. Oh, Lord. Oh no, Kotone. The letter cuts off there. After all this time, I happened to visit his room to clean up, but to think I'd find something like this. It was shoved in the back of the shelf as if to hide it, so I assumed Eel hadn't wanted it to be found. He must have written it to steel his determination or to caution himself. Eel, even to the very end, you're unfair. 1 year had passed since he exchanged his soul to put an end to God's salvation initiative. With God slain, Kion was flung into a state of chaos. God, who had been the supreme ruler, had now disappeared, so that's only natural. In particular, the confusion of normal angels who suddenly sprouted emotions with God's death was monumental. Right now, Solitus, with Epilogi as the representative of fallen angels, and others keep all of them in order. A world entirely dependent on God until now will likely take a long time to truly become self-reliant. Also, Solitus's wings never turned black. They turned back to white. During this, after slaying God, Eel's emotions and soul were shattered. And afterwards, exactly as God said, this time, in the truest sense, he's no more than a broken puppet lying strewn out and collapsed. With no strength, he cannot stand or sit or even raise his head on his own. In fact, he doesn't even breathe. I can't hear his heartbeat. The key that saved him before, the memory server Michael in that tower, broke along with the destruction of God. With the faintest hope, we all tried taking Eel to see Titania, but I can no longer see Eel's mind, she said, and could do nothing but sadly shake her head. In other words, that means his soul has been completely lost. Of course, in such a state, Eel can't live any sort of decent life in the human world or Enchanté. So at present, he quietly sleeps alone in the nourishing tank in the tower facility, at least trying to restore his bodily functions. But even that is nothing more than a blind shot. Never again will a miracle like that occur. When God told me that back then, it turns to sadness and shakes my heart. To hold back what's trying to fill my eyes, I bite my lip. I need to open the shop soon. Simply grieving won't change anything. If he was going to return, it would have happened already. There's only one thing I can do. I need to work harder as the owner. Enchanté, I need to protect the place he protected. God's repaired. Rip. At the same time, at the summit of the tower at the center of Kayam, Solitus gazes at God's hollowed body with mixed feelings. While the slaying of God completely shattered the mechanical body, at Solitus's discretion, he ordered that at least the outer shell should be repaired to a minimum. Of course, he had no desire to restore God. He simply wished that no one could ever exert a will for domination as allowed on Kayam. It is to remain as a symbol of warning.
私も神のことを言える立場ではないか。
How many times have I repeated this line? As Solitus thinks to this to himself, the presence of a familiar man appears behind his back.
ようソリトゥス、姿が見えねえと思ったらやっぱここにいたか。お前は暇さえありゃここで黄昏てんな。
Epilogi, this man literally lost the love of his life. Leave him alone. This fallen angel, Epilogi, is a strange man. We were once enemies, yet he speaks to me so casually, is what Solitus still thinks. However, he understands it's because of that personality that he's been able to prevent a fallen angel uprising to this day.
ここに来るたびに己の罪を認識する。イルファドでリー、彼を友と呼んでおきながら、私は長きにわたりどれだけむごい仕打ちをしてきたのか。
そりゃまあ事実だろうけどよ。お前だって神に接続されてた以上は操られてたんだろう。ほなら
そんなものは言い訳にすらなり、私が実行した以上は私の罪だ。
The wings on Solitus's back, in the end, never turned a fallen color, and remained pure white. While he understands this is due to God being slain before he completely fell, he believes his wings are the evidence of his sins. This is your Puff It Louda trigger warning, but it's sort of a trigger warning. It's more of a mini trigger warning here. I just wanted to mention that there are some talks of suicidal ideation, so if you're not comfortable with that, please skip to the time shown on the screen. It's not going to be a very big skip, But if you are okay with it, just brace yourself because it came out of nowhere and I was like, what? Every time he catches sight of his wings, he says this to himself.
感情が芽生え安定した今幾度となく自分を殺したい衝動に駆られる
Jesus, Solitus! God, warn me ahead of time. Now I have to put a trigger warning in here.
ソリトゥス、そいつは
理解しているそのような形で己の罪から逃げることはしない
Also, like, I hate to say this, but like, it's not Solitus's fault. Like, there's definitely a level of grooming that God has done to Solitus, Eel, everybody that, like, he cannot take sole responsibility for everything that happened. Like, yes, like, he did bad things, but he also didn't realize that they were bad. And when he did realize that they were bad, he stopped doing them, and I think that's what matters.
償いにはならぬだろうがせめてこれ以上イルに新たな仕打ちはすまい
いいのか他の天使たちからは抜け殻になったあいつを新しい神に据えるよう嘆願が出てるイルが俺宛てに残した手紙にもそうするように書いてあったろ
却下するそれは神という名の人柱だろうそれがたとえ彼自身が望んだことだとしても私は断じて応じない
So Eel wrote in his letter to Epilogi, hey, use my dead body as the next god? Oh my god. I don't want to speak more on this subject. Following his own heart saying this, Solitus decides to change the subject.
イルの身体検査及びメンテナンスの予定時刻が迫っている行くぞ
Oh, Solitus has been doing his maintenance still? Saying this to Epilogi, Solitus heads to the nourishing tank where he sleeps. However, inside the nourishing tank where he should be, it was empty. Looking at the floor, that seems to be shards of the broken nourishing tank.
バカな。いねえだと。あいつが自分で動けるはずがねえし、もしかしてあいつを神に担ぎ上げようとしてる連中にさらわれでもってうだうだ考えても仕方ねえ。すぐさまカエルの銃を。
その必要はない。
Epilogi looked like he'd fly off at any second, but Solitus stops him. The shards on the floor are from the inside towards the outside. After seeing them strewn like this, he already had a guess.
我らへの手紙に残されていただろう。もし自分に魂が一かけらでも残っていたのなら。
まさか。けどよ、仮にそうだとしても感情は。
確かに完全に失われているだろう。だが忘れたのか。彼が感情を捨てたのも感情を取り戻したのもそのすべては淡き琴音のためだ。
In that case,
彼に一から感情を生み出すのもまた彼女なのだろう。
So they're just not even gonna look for him? They're not even gonna bring him to Kotone? They're just gonna let him wander the streets of Kayam until he shows up? Like, what? It was like any other day at Café Enchanté. Several hours later, the customers order coffee and snacks depending on their mood and relax around this time. Unusually today, all of the regulars have been around since morning. No, all of them but one.
あれからちょうど今日で1年か。
区切りがいいせいか、あの時の異常気象、展開が開けたホールのことがあちこちでまた取り上げられてるね。
ま、規模が規模だったからね。避難勧告まで出しちゃったし、完全には情報を消しきれないよ。
イルはまだ向こうで眠り続けているのだろうな。
For a moment, Kana sends a consoling look in my direction, but as though saying I don't mind, I wave my hand and smile. When everyone talks about Eel with consideration, that makes me feel far sadder.
展開からの連絡がないということは、やはり未だ変化がないのだろう。
バカだよな、あいつ。 たの3日だぞ。そんだけしか本当の意味で自由や心を得られなかったってのによ。それっぽっちで満足して俺らに黙って勝手にあんな終わり方を決めやがって。
そうだね。彼の人生はあまりに自由がなさすぎた。
それだけミルにとってはこのアンシャンテで得たものが大きかったんだろうね。
We all need to give Mizzy a hug. If that's true, I'd be happy. But among that, not having you here too makes me this sad, Eel. Luckily, no one heard me say that to myself. Afterwards, a while later, in another coincidence, everyone had some business to attend to. Rindo heads to the GPM. Everyone else needs to go back to their own worlds for a time. To see off today's last guest, Mazir, I stand in front of the gate.
今日も美味しいコーヒーごちそうさま。
Thanks. I'll be waiting your visit tomorrow, too. Mazir grabs the doorknob and goes to open the door, but... Ah, he says, and stops for a moment.
そういえば今日裏庭にシーツ干してなかった？今日夕方から雨だったと思うけど。
Oh, that's right. Thanks for reminding me, Mazir. All right, I'll go right now.
裏庭にシーツか。あの時の話を思い出しちゃうな。あの場所とこの店がある限り、君と彼女の思い出が色あせることはないんだろうね。いる。
I was kind of hoping that he would walk in with everybody there, but I guess not. After hurrying into the backyard, I quickly start taking down the sheets. Alright then. The sheets used in my room are small, so I finish those really easily, but... Whoa! The sheets used in the other rooms are a lot bigger, and they're rather hard to handle. I struggle and manage to carry one inside, but there's still a lot more. This always reminds me of... That certainly isn't a sad memory. It was a fun and beautiful memory. I remember back about that day. I feel like even now I could hear his singing voice. I smile and go to continue my work. A strong wind blows and the sheets blocking my view head flutter. In that moment, I see a gap between floating white curtains. Huh? It has to be an illusion. Huh? I begin to make out the illusion, as though it could fall over at any moment. With staggering steps, it begins to walk towards me. The white cloth, as though making way for him, flutters open widely once again. Huh? But he's still a puppet? Before my eyes, he, with white wings on his back, stands quietly. Is this not an illusion? Then why? How? Those questions, due to my shock, do not form into words. Ew? He simply continues to stare at my face with eyes that have lost their light. Several seconds pass. Tens of seconds pass. Then...
あなたは
He speaks. What I wanted to hear for so long. His clear, beautiful voice. But...
あなたは誰ですか?
That single line tells me the reality that I've been lost from his mind. However... I'm the owner of Enchanté here. Kotone Awaki. Feeling that him simply standing here is more than enough, I say my name with a smile.
淡き琴音
When I say my name with a smile, Eel closes the distance more and stares intently at my face. Then, it was really slowly, gradually his eyes.
淡きことね。ああ、そうだ。私はあなたに会わなければならないとずっとひたすらあなただけを探していました。なぜかはわからないけれど、
The light returns.
どうして私はあなたを探していた。
That's because deep in my chest, part of me begs to scream, not begins. But all I can do, unable to control my overflowing heated emotions. Most likely, you had the same feelings as me. Much like Eel, awkwardly, I can only answer in a somewhat childlike way. At my answer, Eel tilts his head in a puzzled way.
同じあなたと言葉を交わすたびにこの胸に生まれる苦しくてでも手放したくないと思ってしまうこんな痛みを。
Yeah, and now I can finally answer your confession. Eel, I like you. I love you, too. With a gentle tone of wind, my confession reaches him. Right after knowing that, his absent-minded eyes sway greatly.
今の私は何もかもがあやふやで自分のこともろくにわからない。ですがたった今一つだけ思い出しました。この感情に従い何をすべきなのかを。
Picture get! How did he remember only that? He gently draws me in close. I don't resist, and our lips touch. It was different from the nervous kiss that night. As though confirming my existence, a kiss seeking all of me.
そうだ。このぬくもりをあなたを。
As he opens his heart, I see a light in his eyes. The tone of voice all returns.
私はずっと求めていた。
As the letter he left before said, remaining in his body, a single shard of his soul does its best to gather up his scattered heart.
あなたじゃないと嫌だったんだ。あなたに抱いたこの感情の呼び名と告げるべき言葉を私は覚えています。
It's a miracle!
ことね。私は愛してます。あなたを愛しています。
Look at that! I'm so happy! Oh, me too. I do too. I love you. Filled with only this emotion, our lips touch once again. I want to make sure that this miracle of him having returned isn't just an illusion. The pulsing of his life, almost as though biting into it. Then his wings begin to mix with black. That's right, the angel who fell to despair before has this time fallen in love. So then how come Solitus didn't have his wings go back to black? Okay, I'm sorry. Then, wow, that's crazy. Oh my god. I have thoughts. I don't really like how quickly that was resolved. Oh Jesus. I forgot that this was the thing. Prologue 5 to Fui Egoeris. Wind brushes the infinite, colorless world like a breath. When he leaves, I'll be alone again. And if he returns, I'm certain all I would have for him is apathy. Yes. That's right. Who the fuck is that? This is unfair. That's Mazir? What the fuck just happened? What's happening?
もうすぐ会えるね。
Oh, Lord. A new prologue is now unlocked. Holy shit. I'm so excited. Mazir's route is now unlocked. Woo! I'm so excited. Like, oh, God. Wow. Wow. I have so much to say about this, but basically, like, I didn't really like how it ended for hold on, let me go to the extras just so it doesn't repeat the title screen. But basically, I don't like how it ended, really, at least Eel's route, just because I feel like they kind of sped through it so fast. Like, I wish it was kind of like, oh, like, he starts to realize his love for her or something like that. Or they just make it so that it's like, I don't know. I feel like they could have done it in a better way that wasn't so sudden. I'm really happy that he's alive. I just wish it wasn't like so stereotypical, I guess. In a way, I kind of like tragic endings more because it just makes you absolutely wrecked and just completely destroys any like feelings towards like all of the characters and stuff like that, and it makes you just really think about the game. So, but now that everything like ends in a happy ending, then I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. Like, he's alive, it's fine. I feel like if he died, it would have made such a huge impact, you know? But I'm glad he's alive. I'm glad that we were able to play through Eel's route. That was much more angsty than I think most of them. Honestly, no. Rindo's, I think, takes the top for angst, but Eel's route is very close, you know? And I'm sure Mazir's, like, there's so much that's being hinted in Eel's route for Mazir, so I'm really curious to see what is going to happen with our favorite demon lord. So next episode, I guess we will start Mazir's route. Oh my god, final route. Woo!